Hello and welcome to the show. I am here today on automation, going to be building another car. Now, a lot of people have wanted to see me drive the V8 smart car I built a good few years ago. Now, I can't drive that vehicle. That was on a different version of the game from a very long time ago, and that data, that file, that car has long since been lost. So instead, I am going to build, well, still essentially the same premise. Now, we can't use any mod body styles because they won't work for the exporter, so I'm having to use the standard ones from automation. We have got plenty of these sort of things to play around with, although as far as tiny cars go, we are a little bit more limited. I mean, you've got the kind of modern day MX-5, you've got kind of a smaller version of the modern day MX-5, but it's not really your tiny little car. Well, it's not really a smart car. The closest that we can get is this sort of style car. This, I would imagine, would be a key car. The kind of Daihatsu Koppen, that sort of style of vehicle. I don't know very much about these, I don't know much about these sort of vehicles. However, I think that's about as close as it can get. And I mean, I think I would rather build one of these than perhaps that boxy. Well, I say boxy, that sort of straight. No. So we're gonna go. That's not got a very pretty back end. Got distracted immediately. We're going to go with a 2005 Coupe, 2.22 meters long, so it is, yeah, pretty damn tiny. And I'm going to try and make this car as powerful as we can with what is going to end up being a fairly small engine. The body style's 2005, so let's go and set the model year to 2005, although I'll probably still have plenty of stuff to choose from. Now, we're going to want the car to be light. I'm going to try and make it vaguely productionable, if that makes sense, so rather than just go for carbon fibre everywhere. We'll make it vaguely possible as a production vehicle. So partial aluminium, save a little bit of weight where we can. Now we do want, as I said, we do want it to be relatively light here. Do we go for, we don't want a ladder chassis, not for a 2005 car. It's kind of monocoque, or do we go up for the semi-space frame? It is slightly lighter, it's slightly more expensive on the old tool. You know what? Let's go for it. Let's go for a semi-space frame on our on our what is going to be a man. Like I say, I'm building this, vaguely sensible, and what we're going to be doing with the engine-wise is not going to be sensible because we're trying to fit as bigger engine as we can into this. It's going to be a little bit more about the power numbers is what we're going for here. We want to get power numbers up. We want to get power numbers to be as alarmingly high as possible. Now, to do that, we are going to make this engine basically useless. Or is it? That's the thing, because now I can test this car out in Beam. We're going to find out if this engine is going to be basically useless, or whether it is actually going to potentially work inside the car, or, whether it will be drivable. So, we can, hold on, we get like a 3-litre V8 inside this. Hold on a second, how big of an engine can we, really? We can get an 8-litre V8. This seems a little bit cheating. I'm going to be honest with you. It does seem a tad bit cheating. It does seem quite a tad bit cheating when I can get a 5-litre V8 inside the car. I might have ended up going down a different path with this than I expected. I was expecting to be working with a teeny tiny V8. I didn't realise it was going to fit that size of engine in it. Okay, 5-litre V8 it is. Oh, this is going to be very powerful. And, ooh, we can have lightweight titanium. Yes. I might have given up on the make it vaguely affordable side of things. We might come back to quality sliders if we want to get 2,000 horsepower. I never really go for the let's make I never really go for the let's make the maximum amount of power, because I tend to end up restricting myself by, wanting to build a I say sensibility engine. I tend to build the silly engines in the tiny cars to make things, silly things happen. Okay, so with this standard configuration, we're up to 400 horsepower. Now, we're going to get a lot more out of all of this. Let's, first of all, we're going to be able to rev the nuts off this engine, I am hoping. Potentially, anyway. Okay, maybe we're not going to quite get as much in the way of revs as possible. I think we could go back and up the quality of all of that. Right, compression-wise, let's drop you back down into a sensible area. I guess maybe we do still have too much in the way of... I guess we can just go do... maybe not? Huh. I am kind of surprised. I was surprised. I mean, I guess it is a big engine. I guess. But yeah, normally I can get away with... with a little bit more in the way of RPMs, but never mind. Okay, so this is going to essentially be like a full-on hypercar. Probably, potentially, maybe, hopefully by the time we're done. Okay, let's get more aggressive with the old cam profile. We are up to the giddying heights of 640 horsepower out of here. We haven't really started playing around with things like... Oh, okay, let's not go... right, okay, so we were kind of roughly 684 horsepower, and this is still with the... I don't actually know why I'm fiddling around with some of this stuff here yet, because we're probably going to be getting way more in terms of power out of this. So if we just crank up the boost a little bit, I know the engine currently is blowing itself to pieces. There we go, 750 horsepower. So far, fuel mixture, we can go up. Ignition timing, we can go way, way up. If I actually know, this will then let us go for some more compression. I was not expecting to make a big V8 quite like this, I'm going to be honest. If we just go and whack up, let's just go through, let's just go and be expensive now. We're just going to whack up everything as much as we can, and we will clear probably 1,000 or so horsepower. Can we get... Still, there we go. Now our engine's happier with the old RPM limit. We have got 1,000 horsepower in what was going to be a small little car. There we go. Get the exhaust bigger. I'd forgotten to change everything. Oh, it's quite an expensive... It's quite an expensive engine. It's quite an expensive engine. It's quite an expensive engine, but it has got 1,200 horsepower. This is madness. This is complete and utter madness that we have got going on here, and I'm okay with that. Right. 1,000. I saw 1,300 horsepower, and there we go. This is where it says it doesn't fit, and I've just messed around with a silly engine for nothing. Okay. What is it going to sound like? The answer is very noisy. The answer is very noisy. I mean, I guess it's along fairly similar lines of cars that I have built before in terms of engine. I mean, it's not pushing any real mad sort of different technology. But imagine that sound and that power coming out of something this tiny. I'm really not sure how the hell that engine is fitting in there. I am absolutely not sure how on earth the engine is fitting in there. It's not really going to show... Oh, I guess I probably have to put the gearbox on. Let's just go and see. Rear-wheel drive. 6-speed manual gearbox. It reckons the car can do 260 miles an hour. I mean... 260 miles an hour. How on earth is that engine fitting in there? I mean, the engine, that is... So we've made jokes about when building cars on Gran Turismo, essentially, where we've stuck, you know, insane turbos onto little cars. I mean, this is an insane engine being shoved into a vehicle it really shouldn't be. Like, there is no way... There is no way that engine should be in there. Well, I mean, this video has turned out very differently to how I was intending on, but you know what? I'm okay with it. Funnily enough, I am okay with it. Right, okay, on to making the car look vaguely sensible. I keep meaning to use these on something, it's not going to work on this car at all. We're probably going to be best off with something actually along these kind of lines, I would imagine, for this kind of body style. Ooh, I wonder if... I've just had a thought in terms of car styling. Do we grill somewhere? We could use... do we want chrome on it, perhaps? Because what I'm thinking is that we might be able to... Oh, spin you the other way around. I've been pondering ideas of, like, lining up bits of bodywork. I say lining up bits of bodywork. So if we were to, like, rotate those to be at just the right angle, it could kind of possibly look quite neat even. We will probably go set those out to the outside of it, and then extend that grille across. Now, you've got to bear in mind here that I am a terrible, terrible artist. I am not good at all when it comes to this sort of thing. Comes to car designing, most of my cars do look quite hideous. However, do I like that with the bars across it? Maybe, though, if we had that rather than chrome, maybe if we were to have that as car-coloured? Or what if we were to go with... Just slightly, like, I'm trying to not go for the same, I say the same generic, like the default way I end up building cars. So I'm trying something a little bit different on this one, and I don't horrendously dislike it, which is always a plus point. It's always good when you don't horrendously dislike the car you are working on. And what shall we do? What I might go for is, if we go for sort of like big old sort of corner vents, and then we will leave the centre of the car alone, perhaps... Or maybe, I think it kind of needs something across the middle, though. Maybe if we go for... Where's the number plate gone? What should we have for this? Shall we go for the... We're an eco-sports car here. Yes. Yes, we are an eco-sports car. There is nothing to see under the bonnet at all. No, nobody... don't tell the insurance company what we've done with the engine. And then we're going to probably want, just maybe if we go for like a little tiny one of these underneath, perhaps actually if we kind of have, can I get those to line up? With where the bottom of them is. Oh, Christ, I'm having difficulties lining things up. Things do snap pretty well on these cars, on the most part, and there we go. Actually, I quite like the front of that. I quite like the front of the vehicle. We are probably going to... I say we're going to what? Let's face it, you would be wanting unbelievable levels of cooling on this car. You know, this is perhaps one of the maddest contraptions I have ever designed in terms of, you know, sheer numbers. I know it's not quite the V8 Smart Car. I did have a brief look. I think it's about a 1.4 litre engine we had going in the V8 Smart Car. This is a 4.5 litre. However, it's the vehicle that it's in, and I'm really looking forward to seeing if this is at all controllable, like in any way, shape, or form. Because I'm going to hazard a guess at no. I'm going to hazard, like, I'm looking at this, I'm putting this together, and I'm sitting here going, there is not a hope in hell that this will be drivable. There is surely no way that this could be drivable, and then we will have another. Totally, I'm an eco car. There is no shenanigans going on here in any way, shape or form. And shall we go for the slight giveaway? I'm kind of tempted to go for the big old, go for the Callaway Sledgehammer for central mounted exhausts for reasons of a very, very powerful V8, I feel. Now, I have no doubt that you can get more power out of that engine. I'm not great, and this is actually one of the reasons why I tend not to go for... Why I tend to restrict myself to sort of silly engine sizes or whatever, because you don't spend, you know, insane amounts of time faffing around with the same... just, like, you know, maximising everything a little bit on the sliders. I would rather, well, certainly mess around driving the car now that we can. Oh, that's the wrong thing. I didn't want to do that. Can we... Oh, no. Okay, we can't cancel that. Was there a copy button? I don't actually know. There probably is. Let's be honest here. Oh, it was one of those that we wanted. I think they were just default size, so we'll just go with another... put another one back in the centre for it, and there we go. Just going to make that slightly bigger around there. Maybe we'll stick with a similar kind of idea at the back. Maybe just go for some kind of larger corner vents. I'm never really very good when it comes to sorting out the back of the cars. Never particularly great at making, because it's kind of like there's just a sort of big flat surface. I can never really decide the best way to make it look interesting. So sure, that will do. And I would want to put a mighty wing on it. Of course I do, because it's me. However, I also don't want to put a mighty wing on it because it ruins the whole. This looks like just a sensible little, you know, hatchback. Not hatchback, sorry. Sort of sensible little sports car, sensible little convertible. not, you know, not letting anybody know about the absolutely ridiculous engine that is under the bonnet, quite frankly. Maybe I want that down there, and maybe I'll just go stick that back up there. Maybe that'll make it look a little bit even. I feel like there's a lot of space there to fill, and I don't think I can really do much with it. Right. Oh, we're also going to need door handles, naturally, and we're going to probably need some wing mirrors. I mean, you're going to be looking at a lot of cars behind you when you put your foot down in this. I might have to make it all-wheel drive. I'm gonna say that much. I might have to make it all-wheel drive if it's going to be in any way, shape, or form usable. We're gonna try it as a rear-wheel drive car, just for reasons to see how bad it is to drive. There we go. Right, so it reckons it'll do 260 miles an hour. We are going to want an electric limited slip diff. Maybe we'll go a little bit less mad on the quality sliders, because you can see how much it puts up the cost of the thing. The engine bay is very full. Really? Really? Sports compound tyres. Oh, we're also probably going to want the biggest wheel arches you ever did see. Because, I mean, it's going to be... There we go. It's going to be mad. Let's go sort out these. Oh, the lights on the rear. Are they actually now not going to... Oh, okay. They're now going to look pretty wonky on there. Maybe we'll... No, that doesn't work. There we go. That's better. That's good enough. I mean, the back is designed to, well, you know, hold the wheels, hold the tyres that we are going to need on there. I'm not really sure 255s are actually going to be big enough, but it'll do, I say. And we're going to be trying to actually drive this car. This is not just a, you know, make big numbers on screen appear. This is going to be, I will try and get this car up to 260 miles an hour. Oh bugger, oh bugger. Massive brakes, please. And I know the game might shout at me, automation might shout at me, but when I'm driving this on Beam, I want the biggest brakes in the world, please, or as big a brakes as I can fit on the damn car. We are going to have, we should probably have some downforce underneath, let's be honest here. Oh, we should also probably get some just all of the brake cooling, please. Just a lot of brake cooling, please. Let's give it a little bit of extra cooling airflow. Oh, I mean, I guess it doesn't really need to... I'll give it a little bit. I don't actually know if that makes much difference. But I want to give it a little bit, just because it's going to be terrifying. I'm really right. I don't actually know if you make a car with too little cooling, if it overheats when you drive it in Beam. It'd be kind of fun if it did, but I don't know if it does. We're probably going to want... Let's face it, you're driving that thing, you're not going to be wanting any of those. Nope, we'll have no entertainment. The entertainment is going to be the power steering. No! That's not going to be good, is it? We're probably going to want some form. I mean, we'll give the car these options, and of course, naturally, we will turn them off. You're going to want... it is quite heavy. I was going to say, you're going to want some safety, because the chances are this is going to be death. I mean, it's going to be death, isn't it? Let's be honest. We're probably going to want that to even vaguely try and keep control of the vehicle. We're going to want sport setup. Now, it's... I mean, it's a hypercar, kind of, which is always an interesting one, actually, to see what it reckons. The brakes are suffering from fade. Jeez, bigger brakes, please. Very big brakes are needed. I might even be out of, I might even have to go for sort of a better... Yeah, I think we're going to have to go for, like, maximum race pads almost on this. Oh, we got a little bit too high for the game's rating system. There is 70.2 as a hypercar is about where it is at. The brakes are still suffering from brake fade. Jeez. I mean, these are literally, I guess we're a 6-piston and 4-piston back there. I physically can't make the brakes any bigger. I reckon it's going to do 9 miles a gallon. I mean, it is a little bit mad, really. At the end of the day, it's quite mad. So, we're not going to worry about that too much. Let's just go have a look. Let's just quickly look at the testing stuff before we go and fiddle with everything in its entirety. So, 1,300 horsepower from this small car for a 6-speed manual gearbox. It reckons that, if we go test track, here we go, 0 to 64.5 seconds. That's probably because it spins all of that power away. It doesn't have, you know, massively slick race tires. It's also very heavy. But I say it's very heavy. The car itself is very light. the end. Well, to be fair, I could have made the car a lot lighter. We started off doing one thing and got distracted, and then we did something very different. It reckons it'll do 252 miles an hour. Market-wise, I mean, I'm not sure anybody's going to. It's probably not going to sell anywhere outside of Gasmere. It will sell in Hetvasia, I don't know. It won't sell very well there. I think the problem is what I could probably do if I wanted to sell the car more. You'd probably, if you started going up here, there we go. Immediately, the hypercar market wants a CD, or they want a sat nav even. Luxury sat nav, because at the end of the day, the car's stupidly expensive anyway. So. Basically, to sell it as a hypercar... Oh, the wheel spin's a little bit dodgy. I say the wheel spin's a little bit dodgy. Of course it bloody is. Right, all-wheel drive would make it... Oh, all-wheel drive is still not all-wheel drive, because I've got to send it to, like, 50-50 power distribution. I mean, that makes the wheel spin more manageable, but it makes it less of a hypercar. So, rear-wheel drive, it will stay 251 miles an hour, it reckons it'll top out at. That's just, of course, just an estimated top speed. In fact, actually, does it keep... Oh, maybe the gears are... No, there we go, because it's a little bit too long. So, yeah, it's still reckon about 253 is where we're going to hit it. Right, so this is full-on hypercar territory now, in just about everywhere. Not there, for some reason. Maybe it's... I don't know. But it's hypercar just about everywhere else. This wasn't what I set out to build, at all. But, the big question... How insane is it going to be to drive? So, here we have our mad vehicle imported into Beam. As you can see, it really is a very, very small car. It really is an absolutely tiny car, and I have no idea how the engine quite fits into here. However, it does. Now, with all of the assists turned on, as you can, well, as I would expect, it is probably going to be fairly tame to drive. There we go. Yeah, it's kind of whoa as I say that. No, that's still a little bit on the lower side. Brakes are pretty solid. Brakes are pretty good actually at keeping this thing under control. Again, remember there's no mighty wing on the back of this car. Whoa, hello. Hello, little key car. You are going to kill many people. Again, this is with the assists on. Now, the power, of course, in this car is not a smooth power band. I mean, that was kind of... A lot of the early engines I have built have not been particularly smooth. They're about getting a big number at the end of it. Because, well, you can never really use them to drive them. So I just kind of had fun trying to make a big number. Well, now we can see what it's like to experience. And that is terrifying with all of the assists turned on. Not only... because of the speed, but it is terrifying because of the way that power is delivered. And we have immediately... Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Tis a little bit of a now poorly back of the car. Okay, you get the idea. You get the idea of how much that is going to be real difficult to drive. Because as you change gear... I mean, you've got to... kind of, you almost want to keep it in the high RPMs because as you change gear, it then makes it very, very unsettled, shall we say. Let's maybe... Whoa. Okay, we're onto a slightly bigger road, perhaps. Be so careful with the throttle here. It's like 70 miles an hour, and if you go more than, 20-30% throttle, it's suddenly going to snap. And because it's such a tiny, tiny wheelbase, it snaps very, very quickly, and you are going to hit something solid at an alarming rate. 90 miles an hour, I still can't even contemplate getting near to full throttle here. Oh, it's wandered a little bit with some wheel spin. We're going to hit... Damn. Oh, we've twisted the entire back end of the car. We've actually buckled the back of the vehicle so much, I don't think it even can put any power down. That's a scary level of damage. I'd say a scary level of damage. Actually, I've not seen the automation cars kind of twist the back. I mean, kind of, is it the entire chassis it's twisted? Oh, yeah, it's actually the entire chassis it's twisted at the back, so that's why the wheel's at a wonky angle. Ouch. And if we're going to build this up to go on a speed run along the motorway here, it's going to have to be done. If you're going to do it without any of the traction control, I think this is a little bit like the Eurofighter. It is so twitchy and all unstable. You need a million computers for it to be able to even vaguely be drivable. I mean, I kind of expected it. I was I set out to build an engine that was, well, I expected this car to only be able to have a fairly small engine, and, you know, perhaps to be dealing with 500 horsepower of massively turbo lagginess, not 1300 horsepower of massively turbo lagginess in a car of this size. At least when it's 300 or 400 horsepower, it's a little bit more manageable. We're fine. Nothing terrible went on there. We've restyled it. It's the Mark II version. It's not even any lighter. It's not like it's even any lighter, as nothing actually fell off. It's just buckled in different positions. I'd say it's more stable, but I think that's just because we're now doing 7. I've never had a car that's quite as terrifying to drive at sort of 70 miles. Like, I am fully expecting this car to try and murder me at any point. Oh, there goes that wheel spin. You just cannot use... You can't use the power at all. Okay, let's try. I'm going to try a speed run here with... We're going to stick the traction control and stuff on. Traction control, stability control, and whatnot, and see if we can actually use the upper echelons of the rev rate. Even with all of this on, it is so tough to drive this car. Even with all of that helping. I mean, I have no doubt that this car is going to be capable of doing the 250. I have absolutely no doubt that this car is capable of doing it. It's not stable. It is not stable at all. I mean, those market stats that reckon that this is a hypercar. I mean, it might have hypercar levels of performance, but... Oh, God, it's dangerous with it. It's madly dangerous with it. I mean, like, all of the hedgerows in England would be full of Premiership footballers who had bought one of these and just couldn't control them at all. It's like the Caparo, only way worse. it's I mean, it's not light, but it is. I mean, yeah, it's scary at 90. It's very scary at 90. Maybe a Mighty Wing would have been a good idea. Maybe a lot of Mighty Wings, like Mighty Wings at the front and Mighty Wings. Like, it needs a full hill climb body kit on, I fear, because it is just too. I can't even get to full throttle in third, fourth gear here. It's just as soon as those turbos kick in, it's nigh on undrivable. We're out to 130 miles an hour, but it's wandering. It's wandered towards a bush at many miles an hour. Oh, it's done some funny things. That's a fun-shaped chassis we've got right there. That is a fun-shaped chassis indeed. I think perhaps... I mean, I want to kind of crack 200 with it. I'm not really sure I've got the control to crack 200, even with all the stability and whatnot, all the electrical assist. I mean, it's still spinning its wheels. Even with the traction control on, I can still see it spinning the wheels. It's not just the lack of any sort of aero on the car. I mean, it's... In some ways, it is the ultimate sleeper. In other ways, it is perhaps the ultimate death machine. I think ultimate death machine more than ultimate sleeper is how I would categorize this car. I think if I remember correctly, this tunnel, I haven't bent a wheel, have I? Very difficult to tell, because it's very difficult to get this car in a straight line. I'm pretty sure this tunnel is just one long straight run, so we're going to go for it. Out the other side here. Here we go. Here we go. Straighten up. And no, we've wobbled slightly. We might ping off the wall if we're not careful. It's still wanting to spin the wheels. They're at 130. Perhaps driving this on a wheel that more so than a controller would probably be a good idea. Jeez, it's 140 miles an hour. We put the power down and it still spins the wheels. It's insane. It's not drivable. It's really not drivable. And I mean, I'm kind of okay with that. It's now gone. It did what I did what it wanted to. It is what you guys wanted to see me try. Admittedly, with a lot more power than I expected from the engine, or to fit into this car. I really didn't think we'd be able to get that much power inside this little vehicle. I didn't think we'd get a 4.5 litre V8 inside this car. I didn't think the engine bay was anywhere near big enough for that. Oh, it's utterly bonkers. It is utterly bonkers. I mean, I imagine it'll do some pretty good donuts. I imagine it'll do some pretty good donuts here. I think I've outdone myself in terms of a purely undrivable car. I very, very much like it, though. I very much like it. We're going to go for some more celebratory kind of... I'm now trying to stop the celebratory donuts car. There we go. That is far too much power in far too little of a frame, and it needs hill climb, time attack levels of downforce, probably. But yeah, that's... Oh dear. Oh dear. And we're done. Oh no, we're good. I didn't actually see the engine on the underside of the car. We managed to lose the engine into... where's the engine? No, normally the engine renders into these. I don't know why. Maybe in somewhere with it... I don't know why the engine is not showing. I might have unticked a box or done something dumb with the car. Not sure. The engine would normally be showing in the vehicle. Either way, that is what happens when you put 1300 horsepower in a tiny, tiny little car. It's not very drivable. It's not very drivable at all, but quite fun. That, though, is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.